You want me to leave my mic on? Welcome to Mercy Project's 10-year anniversary celebration event. My name is Chris Field. I'm the founder and CEO of Mercy Project, and I want to tell you how excited we are to be here with you and your family tonight. And while we're waiting for the last few folks to come in and to start watching with us, we would love for you to drop a comment in the chat telling us where you're logging in from tonight. We know we have a lot of Bryan College Station watchers, loyal followers. So maybe if you're not from Bryan College Station especially, we'd love for you to drop a comment in the chat just telling us where you're tuning in from, because we know that we have supporters from all over the United States. We even have global supporters, and that is just one of the many gifts of the last 10 years of this work with Mercy Project. So again, my name is Chris Field. I'm the founder and CEO of Mercy Project. Welcome to our 10-year anniversary celebration event. We wish we could be here with you in person at the beautiful Ice House on Main, but we're grateful for technology, that you can tune in with your pajamas on at home tonight. We hope you have a tall glass of wine, and the children will be in bed soon if you have kids, and we are so excited. So let's see where we have some folks tuning in from. We have people watching tonight from Florida. We have people watching from New York. We have someone that's tuned in from Portland, Oregon. Let's see if we have any international. Look at that. We have someone from the Philippines that is tuned in right now watching us. Ohio. So we are truly coast to coast. Colorado, we know we have a lot of followers in Denver, Colorado, so that is super fun to know we have people tuning in. So thank you for being here with us tonight. We have a 90-minute program. Some people told me that 90 minutes was too long. Some people told me that 90 minutes was too short, but like Goldilocks, I choose to believe tonight that 90 minutes is just right. We're going to keep you entertained. We have a number of different ways that you're going to be entertained throughout the night, that you're going to be educated, that you're going to be inspired. And I sincerely believe by the time we finish this evening that you're going to understand more about the work Mercy Project's been doing, and you're going to believe even more deeply in the good that has come over the last 10 years because of people like many of you watching tonight. Before I go any further, I want to give a huge thank you and shout out to my friend Rob Crowley at Crowley Custom Homes. Rob has been a faithful supporter and sponsor of many of our events. And when we weren't able to have our casino night this summer, and when this was going to be a live event and then it moved to virtual, Rob never wavered. Every turn, every change, and there were many, he said, whatever I need to do to help support Mercy Project, I'm going to do that. So Rob underwrote this entire evening all of the things we would need. He was extremely generous. So thank you, Rob Crowley, Crowley Custom Homes. If you want to see some of the most amazing homes, not just in Bryan College Station, but in America, go follow Rob on Facebook at Crowley Custom Homes. They take beautiful photos of the houses that he builds and post them on their Facebook page. And even if you're never going to build a house, it's really fun to look at some of the work he's doing because it's truly an art. Rob, thank you. Thank you. Now tonight, we have a very special welcome for you. We wish that we could have had all of our staff from Ghana join us tonight, and let me assure you, they wish that even more. But instead of them coming here, we're going to them. And so tonight, we have a very special welcome from our team in Ghana, and they're going to welcome us tonight as we begin. Thank you for being here. I'm looking forward to a great evening together.
Akwaba.
Akwaba. Akwaba. Akwaba, we welcome in our local language.
And we want to welcome you to Mercy Project's 10th year anniversary celebration.
Thank you for your support.
We love you and God bless you.
Thank you for your support.
Good evening. My name is Francis Osei-Bonsu, and I am the Ghanaian Country Director of Mercy Project. I want to welcome you to tonight's special celebration of Mercy Project's 10th anniversary. I first started working with Mercy Project 5 years ago as a social worker, and I have slowly advanced through the organization, culminating in my being hired as the first local Ghanaian Country Director in 2020. The issue of child slavery in Ghana, especially in the fishing industry, is a very complicated one, with different understanding among children, their families, communities they live in, and the Ghanaian society at large. But I believe that none of these complications should get in the way of minimizing the harm caused to children who find themselves in these situations. Therefore, Mercy Project's unique approach of long-lasting relationship with communities ensure that we do have room to maneuver to treat each circumstance differently. Most importantly, we do not just lift children out of harm's way, we do lift their entire family and their communities through economic empowerment and also through public awareness. By doing this, we make sure that our work and your effort get to stay with these people for a really long time. On behalf of myself, the entire Ghanaian staff, and also the nearly 200 children who are at home now instead of working as child slaves, thank you for being here tonight. The future is bright, and I know that we will get there if we work together.
Thank you so much to our Ghanaian staff for that special welcome, and maybe year 20 celebration. We'll see what we can do to bring all of them here with us. Tonight we have two special guests, my friend Doug and Cheryl, and they are going to talk a little bit about an experience they had with Mercy Project just a few months ago. Now, you might be wondering how we chose Doug and Cheryl to speak to you tonight, and contrary to what it may appear, we did not seek out the tallest Mercy Project supporter, but actually you might remember Cheryl with this microphone in her hand because it was in the Ice House just a little over a year ago that Cheryl stood up and came to the stage at the end of the live auction. She didn't know me and I didn't know her, and she said, some might even say demanded, to know how could someone go to Ghana to see what Mercy Project was doing in person.
She actually started with, Chris, give me the microphone.
That is actually true, she did. And so I handed her the microphone, much to my fear and Doug's as well, he later shared. And she suggested we raffle off or auction off a trip for someone to go to Ghana with us. Well, little did she know that I had a few tricks up my sleeve. And I was more than happy to entertain that idea because I knew Doug Peterson's reputation around town. And I knew that if no one else ended up bidding on that trip, that we had our two buyers sitting right there in the front row. And that's exactly what happened. Doug and Cheryl won that trip to Ghana with us. They went with us in March of 2020, February of 2020, right before COVID. And I invited them tonight to come. They're not board members, and they really more recently learned about the work of Mercy Project. And I wanted them to share with you some of their experiences from that trip. So Doug, Cheryl, thank you guys for being here.
Thank you, Chris. Good evening, everyone. Quite honestly, when we came to the event last year, I knew basically nothing about Mercy Project. So I wandered around and I found Chris Field and I started asking him, so what is Mercy Project about? And he said, you know, this all started with a woman. I read this article and she had sold her son into slavery in Ghana, into the fishing trade, and you know, all of a sudden I'm right there, I'm riveted, and that she had lost her husband, she had other children in the family, she had no job skills, and she basically couldn't put food on the table for her children. So the idea of the $30 that she got for her son, I mean, she sort of reasoned that, well, at least they'll feed him, they'll keep him alive so that he can continue to work. And the $30 that she got in Ghana, $30 goes a lot farther than it does in the United States. It would feed her and the rest of the children for at least a little while. So Chris is very intrigued, and he's relaying this story to me, and he's so moved by this story with this woman that he says that he booked a flight to Ghana to go find this woman and talk to her. And around that time, I said, no, wait a minute. So, all right, we have some idea. You are living on a pastor's salary. You're white. You live in Texas. And you're telling me you booked a flight to go to Africa. And he said, yes. And now I'm starting to think, this is like, who is this guy? Who does that? So he goes, he finds this woman, and he has a conversation with her and discovers that there are many women, many families that do this out of necessity, that they're desperate because these women don't have skills. It's probably best for the child. The child gets meals and works hard, but doesn't go to school and doesn't really have a life. They're slaves. So after that, Chris says, well, at that point, I really wasn't sure what to do, because how could I tell my own children someday that I was there, I saw this, and I did nothing about it? So that kind of took my breath away. And even though I was a little bit mystified by how he would go and do this, I said, okay, keep going. Tell me more of the story. So he said, well, that's 10 years ago. That's kind of when Mercy Project started. So I had to figure out a way to fix this. I had no idea how to do this, but you know what? I trust in God, and I knew God would help me find the answers to this. So I thought about it, I prayed, I thought about it some more, and then it dawned on me, what if I could get these fishermen to switch to farm fishing? Even I know, that's genius, right? So now all of a sudden, that's great for two reasons. One, Lake Volta, as massive as it is, it's been overfished, and that it no longer has the bounty it used to have. And two, he was going to set it up so that if he did create a farming industry for them, they would no longer be able to have child slaves, because he would set it up so that he would pull all the equipment if he ever found children in those villages that were slaves after that. So that's pretty amazing. But the story continues, because that's not all they do. So you set it up, they get to farm the fish, they free the children, but now you have children on your hands that haven't been in school for years. So how do you fix that? So now he has this part of it that he has to arrange for. So that's where he sets up a way for people like you and me to sponsor these children for only $45 a month. You can literally change a child's life. These children are just now brought out of slavery. They're going back into the real world, and you can make a difference with $45 a month. And mercyproject.net for $45 a month, you can make a child's life completely different. So back to the story. There's still another component. He's still telling me all these things about Mercy Project, and I'm just, my head's spinning. I'm just like, this is fantastical. How does this even happen? So he goes on to say, so now we have the children, we've set it up so that they have a way to be educated and supported, but we still have the family to deal with. So then they have people that go out and they mentor and coach these mothers that are, they need job skills, they need training, they need help, they need support. So he sets all that up. So he's solved the problem with like 3 prongs of this. He's eliminated the child slavery in these villages. And by the way, as of today, Mercy Project now has 17 villages that they partner with, and they have rescued over 180 children. Clap, 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 clap.
Is my job now? Okay, here we
Clap,
go.
please.
Okay, here we go.
So they've rescued over 180 children, and they have 17 villages that they partner with. And so anyway, so back to my story. So he's telling me all of this, and quite honestly, no offense, Chris, but I'm finding this all pretty hard to believe. I mean, I'm not sure what to think of all this, but it's pretty fantastical.
She did not call you a liar.
No,
Very-
that's
very
not what I was
clear.
saying, but it was pretty hard to believe.
So Rob Crowley was mentioned earlier, and Rob and I are actually workout buddies at BoomFit. And Rob brings up the casino night and wants everybody that he knows to buy a table. So we buy a table. We love Rob. Like you said, we don't know Chris. And so we come to casino night. Now, there's a dog that's being auctioned off, and I thought my niece and my wife wanted the dog. So we were almost...
No, you didn't. The whole time I was saying, you stop bidding on that puppy.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, she's had her chance to tell the story. It's now my time. And so we're going to bid on this dog. She literally takes my bid panel away from me, paddle, and we're sitting on the front row, which is the way Cheryl likes to run things, and the auction is over. So I dodged a bullet with the dog, didn't buy a dog. We love Chris, we love the story, and we're supportive when all of a sudden Chris is on stage basically saying goodnight. Cheryl stands up and does this, and Chris does this. And that's exactly what happened. And Cheryl goes, no, seriously, I want the mic. And so Chris, I mean, there's 300 people looking at him. He gives her the mic. And so what happens next is life-changing for us. And we auction off, Chris auctions off a trip to Africa. And what we've decided is we want to go to Africa because I've never been, you've never been. Africa is fun. Chris is an unbelievable story, and we want to see it firsthand, so we go. It's not to be believed, and we were, if you can open up a National Geographic, we were the centerfold of National Geographic. We went into a village, we took the tour, we rode in boats, we watched them work the lake to rescue kids. And I'm telling you, it's I don't want to say surreal, but it's pretty close to being surreal. This is the real deal. And it is impossible to do what they are doing. They've rescued 181 kids as of today. They put them back into a family. They put them back into a village that they support. They create this fish farming environment. It's amazing. It is truly amazing. And for anybody to just say, okay, hey, this is a good idea, I think we'd all say it's a good idea. Yeah. For somebody to say, hey, we're going to go from Texas all the way halfway around the world to Ghana, and we're going to do this. By the way, we don't speak the language. We don't know the culture. We have no idea what we're doing. No offense, Chris, but this is Chris's idea of a good time. This is Chris's idea of, you know what? It's a challenge. It can't be done, so therefore we shall do it. And that's what he does. And the whole week we spent with them was surreal. Yeah. We were in unair-conditioned Trotros, which is a taxi. I had...
It's a 15-passenger van, basically. With no air conditioning.
And so the point is, Chris doesn't spend money foolishly. Now, even though he has sponsors traveling with him, we're not going to rent air-conditioned vans because that would just be a waste of money. So we're in Africa, we're immersed in the full experience, and we're watching them communicate with fishermen and ask them, is this your son? And ask them, if it's your son, where does he go to school? And then while Chris is talking to a fisherman or one of his people is talking to the fisherman, another person is on the back of the boat talking to the kid, the child, and they're verifying the stories. Now, nobody's going to snatch the child. They don't do that. They make friends. They gather information. They gather data. And then they later down the road reunite the child with his family. It's amazing. It's also impossible, but they're doing it. And so we are here tonight in support of Chris and his charming wife, who puts up with him being gone. How many trips to Ghana? 40, 41, 42? And so we are here just to tell you that it's the real deal and that it's amazing and it's surreal, and we've experienced it firsthand. And we are so touched by this that Chris doesn't know what we're about to do. That's right, my pants are coming off right now. The meeting is over. I'm kidding. Mrs. Fields, she's not happy we're here. I can see that right now. What we're going to do is Doug and Cheryl are going to offer a challenge right now to those of you out there watching. Later in the show, they're going to give you a phone number. You're going to text in your pledge. Cheryl and I right now would like to pledge $10,000 to Mercy Project to continue this insanely impossible project, to support Rob Crowley and what he's doing. He scares me. I know he's going to ask us to continue giving. And we would like to do right now a matching challenge for the rest of the evening through midnight. Pledge, text Tell Mercy Project how much you love them, and Doug and Cheryl are going to pony up, and we're going to help 2021 be even a better year. Wouldn't be hard, I guess. 2020 is pretty much in the bag. But we're going to help, and we're going to continue the legacy that they've started and the amazing work they're doing. We pledge right now a matching $10,000. Chris, back to you.
What I like most about Mercy Project is that we give freedom to children who would have spent all their lives on the lake working for their masters. Thank you.
What we love most about Mercy Project is
it provides a way for us to make a difference in our world.
They work to eliminate child trafficking.
They help get kids off the lake and give them an opportunity to go back to school.
And they're making a difference for the families, the villagers, and the fishermen.
We've loved being a part of Mercy Project these first 10 years, and we look forward to the future.
What I love about Mercy Project is knowing that I have a brighter future.
What we love most about Mercy Project is that they bring sustainable solutions to a social problem, much like a business would. They've been so successful that no children that have been reintegrated back into their families have been re-trafficked.
What I like about Mercy Project is to see these families back together again. Thank you.
We love Mercy Project because of their mission to end child slavery in Ghana, Africa, and for their fun friend-raising events, including the Guinness World Record events, casino night, and running races.
What I like best about Mercy Project is the opportunity to go to school and become someone better in future.
I love the innovation of Mercy Project. Mercy Project takes technology and knowledge from here in the United States and puts that to play in sustainable ways over in Ghana that keep communities together and keep them thriving. That type of innovation is more of what this world needs.
What I like about Mercy Project is knowing that these rescued children will become the future leaders of our country. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Doug and Cheryl for their generosity. I did not know they were going to do that. That is certainly an enormous gift, fitting for a 10-year celebration to get such a generous $10,000 matching gift. Over the last 10 years, you can imagine, if you think of all the things we've talked about doing and things we're going to keep talking about that we've done, thousands of people have been a part of this story. Each one of you watching tonight in your own unique, special way has been a part of this story with us. And I wish you were here. I wish there was a long line of people that I could just one after another hug you with masks and 6-foot Stretch Armstrong arms and thank you for whatever role you've played, because it truly takes all kinds of people to make something like this work. It's easy for me to stand here on this rug and to be able to speak and for people to know my name and to know that I started the organization. But the truth is that there are hundreds, thousands of people that Mercy Project would not be what it is, and the work we've done would not be what it is if it weren't for those people. And even though I wish I could thank each one by name individually right now, we don't have time for that. But there are 4 people that I want to specifically thank tonight. 4 people that from the very beginning of Mercy Project, even before this thing was a thing, that they said, we believe in this and we want to be a part of this with you. 2 of these people are volunteers. One of them is a board member and another one is a couple that are supporters. And we've got this beautiful little bag that we actually brought back all the way from Ghana, which you can imagine that is not easy to do on these long trips on airplanes, but we filled it with all kinds of lovely things from Ghana, soap and coffee, and we're going to get these to you at some point, to the 4 people. But first, I just want to acknowledge you publicly. Okay. First person I want to thank, and all of them are supposed to be on tonight, so I hope they showed up or they're going to be very disappointed. But there's a young woman named Kelly McGrath. She is a teacher in College Station ISD, a special ed teacher at Rock Prairie Elementary. And if we are having an event of any type, a fundraising event, a race, anything we are doing, even though she's working full-time as a teacher, special ed, very difficult job, she's exhausted, she is first in line to volunteer. 5 a.m. at races, staying until midnight at events like Casino Night. She has never told us no in 10 years. And so, Kelly, we want you to know that we honor you and we thank you for being an unbelievably faithful supporter of Mercy Project. And in Ghana, they actually call this Boafo. And a Boafo is someone who you can see on the screen behind me, a helper or supporter who makes something possible. And that's in the Ghanaian, the most common native tongue, which is called Twi. There's no quiz, don't worry, we're not going to make you say that later. But Kelly, you are a Boafo to us, a helper, a supporter who makes things possible. Another one of these volunteers who always says yes. It doesn't matter what time of day or how often. We can never ask too much. She wants to be asked at every turn is our friend Lan Lee and really her entire family. Whether it's the races, whether it's the other events, whether it's a donation at a key time, whatever the need, Lan, you have always stepped up. You've always believed in Mercy Project. You believed in the marathon before it was even a thing, when you just saw it on TexAg's message board and you said, hey, I want to be a part of that. So Lan, David, Rusty, thank you for your support, and you live right around the corner from me, so I can just take your bag home and bring it over to you very soon. I also want to give a special thanks to Doug Page. Doug Page is one of our board members, and Doug, believe it or not, has been one of the original board members now for 10 years. Every other person on the board has turned over, probably to get away from me, but Doug Page has stayed with it for 10 years. You know, I'll give you a little background. When you set up a 501c3, you're required by law to have 3 board members. And when you set up a 501c3, you haven't done anything. You have no accomplishments. You have a mission statement. You don't have any money. You can't even set up a bank account until you have your 501c3. And so you have to call people you know, and you have to say, hey, I'm doing this thing, and I don't know if it's going to work, and I don't even know what it looks like, but would you be on the board and be legally responsible for the success of this venture? And Doug was one of those 3, and he said, yes. Yes, if you are doing that, I want to be a part of it. And Doug is an extra fun story for me and for Mrs. Field, or Stacy, as some call her, because Doug was actually our youth intern when Stacy and I were almost boyfriend and girlfriend all the way back in high school. And so he has literally watched us grow up and fall in love and become a family, and he's been a part of this Mercy Project family now with his family for 10 years. So Doug, thank you. And finally, we have Dean and Rhonda McMahon. It would be impossible for me to tell you the impact that they have had on my life, but let me just tell you one thing about Dean and Rhonda. They got one of the letters that we sent out when I came home from my first trip to Ghana. You'll hear more about that in a few minutes. And Dean called me, and we had met before, our wives told us, but neither of us remembered it. And Dean said, this is a great thing you're doing. How can we help? And so they wrote a check, which was great. We needed that at the time. But then he said, we want to go to Ghana with you. Can you take us to Ghana? And so I took them to Ghana. We went to Ghana, and it was around a plastic table in Ghana, eating bad chicken under the hot sun of that Ghanaian heat, that Dean and Rhonda looked at me across that table, and they said, why don't you give your life to Mercy Project? Why aren't you doing this as a job? And I told them that I had financial concerns, that we had a young baby, and that I had no idea how I could possibly do this work and still provide for my family. And they looked at me right there in Ghana, and they said, we'll help with that part, if you're willing to do this really hard work that you seem so impassioned about. And right then I knew the heat was on. They had taken away the last excuse we had, and they had said, we'll help with that part. And so all that was left was for us to stand up, to step up. Dean, Rhonda, you guys are invaluable to the story of Mercy Project. Every good thing we've ever done, your fingerprints are all over it. My life personally has been impacted in immeasurable ways, and I know your kids are watching, some of them, and I know how proud they are to know that their mom and dad chose to get in this boat with us, literally, to break some boats with us, literally, and to go to Ghana not once, but multiple times over, and to continue saying yes to this work still to this day. Thank you for being one of those Boafos with us. Kelly, Lan, Doug, Dean and Rhonda, 10 years that wouldn't have been possible without each one of you. Thank you. Now I have a special treat. We've been working on a video that no one has seen. We've taken video footage from across the last 10 years. We filmed new video footage. We even have our first drone footage from Lake Volta. My friend Keith Sewell learned how to fly a drone that my dad, Larry Field, suggested that we buy. My dad's a photographer and uses a drone all the time. He told us which drone to buy. Keith learned it in his backyard. We go to Ghana and we fly this drone above Lake Volta, and we see the lake in a way that we've never seen it before. And then our friend Zach, an amazing videographer here in town, takes all of this footage. He and Gretchen work together to piece it together, and we put together this treat for you. This is the story of Mercy Project, 10 years in 10 minutes. And we hope that you are inspired, we hope that you are moved, and we hope that you see what can happen when ordinary people say yes to the hardest of things, even without knowing what will come next. Enjoy this video.
This story begins on a lake, the largest man-made lake in the world by surface area. It's named Lake Volta, and it's located in Ghana, Africa. But wait, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's start with how we discovered Lake Volta. That story begins on a couch, with a book and a baby on the way. Chris Field sat on this couch in 2009 and read a beautiful memoir written by a mother who lost her son. In the book, she talked about her son's death, leading her to meet trafficked children in Ghana, Africa. Chris read the book while he and his wife Stacy were expecting their first child. Every night, they put their hands on Stacy's belly and prayed their child would act justly and seek mercy. Chris couldn't shake the question of how a child could learn to be just and merciful without it being shown to them. That question led to calling the author and asking to travel to Ghana with her. 3 months later, he was there, which takes us back to Lake Volta, where Chris first met trafficked children on that trip.
Lake Volta is a mix of beautiful and terrible. Its size is stunning, larger than Delaware and Rhode Island combined. Its water's peaceful, and the fish it provides for thousands a literal lifeline. But it has a dark side too. It is a tragic landing place for children trafficked to work these waters as fisher boys and girls. For them, this is the place childhoods come to die. The work is exhausting at 10, 12, 14 hours a day, but it's their empty eyes you can't forget. The fishermen who own the children are not much better off. Their families barely survive on $2 per day. Many of the fishermen were even trafficked children themselves, a vicious cycle played on repeat.
Chris came home from that trip to Ghana and wept as he told Stacy, "We have to do something." They started with what they knew best, getting their friends and family excited about raising money and donating it to a group working in Ghana. Their friends were young and had more creativity than money. The first fundraising event was a 240-mile running relay from Dallas to Houston. Soon after, they gathered 50 friends and literally played kickball for 2 days straight. It was a Guinness World Record and raised tens of thousands of dollars. In the 9 months after that first trip, Chris returned to Ghana twice more, while he and Stacy helped raise over $75,000. But something still felt wrong. On those trips to Ghana, the complexity of the solutions to help the children never seemed to match the complexity of the problem. People blamed the poor fishermen or the poor parents of the children, but no one was asking why fishermen were relying on children to survive. On September 1st, 2010, Mercy Project was officially born. No office and no staff. Chris, the lone employee, but with a community of people ready and willing to help when called on.
Mercy Project dove into the problem to learn everything we possibly could about why the trafficking was happening and what we could do to end it. Our time was spent with a foot on 2 continents. Learn and raise money in the US, fly to Ghana to learn more, and move the work forward, over and over again. Fundraisers included the first Turkey Trot, a precursor for the BCS Marathon, now one of the top-rated marathons in Texas. More group Guinness World Record attempts and successes, with some failures mixed in, but always working to innovate, always working to creatively tell the story, always working to grow the base of supporters who love the people of Ghana as much as we did. People who regularly placed their hands on our young organization's growing belly and prayed with us for justice and mercy.
In 2011, we hired our first Ghanaian employee and the work sped up. It was still 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but we were moving. We recognized the root of the problem was economic, and we launched an agriculture project in a small village. It failed. We learned and grew, adapted, looked back and saw our people still behind us, praying us forward. We weren't sure where freedom was, but we knew we had to keep going to find it. After countless village meetings under large mango trees, we decided to stick with what the fishermen knew best, fishing. We just had to teach them a better way of doing it, a way that didn't include labor of young children, a way that helped their families move beyond poverty. In 2012, we launched a process called aquaculture, where growing tens of thousands of tilapia in cages allowed just a few men to do the work of many children. We built the first cages. They fell apart. No one fixed them. The project failed. We built more cages, the growth painfully slow at times. The cages improved. We taught the men how to repair them. Sometimes they did it. The fish grew larger. They sold at the market for more money. The village saw the future and voluntarily released the first trafficked children to return home. The children went to a transitional shelter and then on to be reunited with their families. It was more beautiful than we could have imagined. Holy, raw, real. Families were meant to be together.
The children began attending school. Backpacks replacing fishing nets, soccer balls replacing boat paddles. The empty eyes slowly started filling and the smiles came back. The Ghanaian staff grew almost annually. Social workers, field workers, and fish experts. We built a house and sent staff to live there among the Ghanaian people, just a mile from the lake. We made a million mistakes, but every time we turned around, our people were still there, cheering us on, promising they weren't leaving. We sat under more mango trees and met more village leaders and traveled miles by boat on that huge lake. Our Ghanaian staff began leading the way, and we moved out of their way. In 2013, our number of Ghanaian staff surpassed that of our US staff. Now there are no more Americans living in Ghana. Every staff member in Ghana is Ghana born and raised and Ghana proud, but also hungry for freedom and justice and mercy.
With our foundation laid, the process began to speed up. We partnered with more villages, which resulted in rescuing more children. It took 4 years to rescue our first 50 children. The next 4 years brought another 100. Now nearly 200 children are home again. Real children with real names and real faces and real hopes and dreams they could begin dreaming again. Kofi and Grace and Tabitha and Clifford and Emmanuel and Comfort and hundreds more. So many they could fill a wall. So many they do. A quiet army of freedom spread all over Ghana. Each of our children is in school or vocational training now, the oldest getting close to attending college, believing they can be whatever they want to be when they grow up. Doctors, lawyers, teachers, nurses, pastors, and social workers. A future impossible to imagine when you can't see past your small fishing boat. Our staff is now spread across Ghana, just like our rescued children, teaching, training, empowering, and encouraging. 10 years, no child re-trafficked. The only anti-trafficking organization in Ghana able to say that. A testament to our team in Ghana who loves these families like their own. A testament to the power of becoming one big family. A testament to our supporters who never stopped believing. 10 years, 16 partner villages, almost 5,000 villagers impacted, nearly 200,000 healthy tilapia grown in cages. We even built our own fish hatchery to ensure we could produce enough baby fish to keep up with the demand from our partner villages, all culminating in nearly 200 formerly trafficked children going home. Home. The future is bright, but there is still much work to be done. So we stand again with a foot in two places at once. So grateful for the last 10 years and all the freedom that has come, and hopeful for the next 10 years and the stories yet to be told. Children whose names we don't yet know, whose eyes are still empty, the ones who need us to keep showing up. And so we place our hands on the growing future of Mercy Project and pray with expectation and gratitude for more justice and mercy. More mango tree meetings, more fish cages, more village partnerships, and more freedom for all of us.
I hope all of you enjoyed watching that video as much as we enjoyed the walk down memory lane to put it together. Again, special thanks to Zach Castillo for his work on that, for Gretchen Nixon for her work in pulling those clips, and for each one of you who in your own unique and special way, you were part of that story you just saw. So now I have the impossible task of trying to summarize 10 years. 10 years, 3,650 days. How do you do justice to a story that was always about justice and mercy? Lord, have mercy. And He has for 10 years. The very beginning of Mercy Project was me reading that book that you saw Stacy and I reading together on the couch. And then it was Stacy dropping me off at the airport in Dallas all alone. She was 4 months pregnant with our daughter, Micah, who is now 10 years old. Stacy cried. I don't know if it was the hormones or that she was getting me out of the house for a week, but either way, it was a tearful goodbye. And then I'm sitting there in the DFW airport all alone, on my way to Africa to meet up with a group whom I didn't know and I'd never met. I'd only called and asked if I could go to Africa with them. And I pulled out an old journal this week, and it's the journal that I wrote that afternoon in the airport in Dallas. And I want to read just a little part of this to you. This is August 7th, 2009, so almost exactly a year before we would start Mercy Project, but just hours before I would be in Ghana for the first time with no idea what was to come. And here's what I wrote. I don't know if it has really set in that I will be in Ghana, Africa in less than 24 hours. I know that I cannot wrap my mind around all of the things I will see there. Some will surely bring a smile to my face, while others will break my heart in ways it has never been broken before. But that has been and will continue to be my prayer. That God would teach me to see the world as He sees it, and to care for the hurting as He would. I long to be the kind of person who sees a need and does everything I can do to help. I think the world is desperate for people like that. It's different to leave home knowing I'm leaving both a wife and child behind. And as difficult as it is, I know these are the kind of things I want my daughter to see. I want her to know that her dad is truly trying to live out the gospel in every way he can. I want her to see that when I fail and when I get close to getting it right. I was correct in that journal when I said I was going to see things that would both bring a smile to my face and that would break my heart. So much so on that very first trip, when I met one little boy in particular who many of you have heard me talk about over the years, and he's pictured both on the screen and over my shoulder, and his name is Tomas. Tomas was the first little boy that captivated my heart, and it was in his village, holding his hand, hearing the story of him being sold for just $20 US, that I had to have a serious conversation with myself and say, what kind of world is it that we live in? And what kind of response am I willing to give to this world? Tomas captivated and broke my heart. And so when I got back to my house in the suburbs in Dallas, and Stacy and I were sitting on the couch, and I began to weep and say, we have to do something, because someday our kids are going to look at us and they're going to say, Mom and Dad, what did you do when you heard there were children who were slaves? And when my children asked me that question, I didn't want to have to look away. And just like we said in the video, we'd already been praying every night on Stacy's belly, right there with our hands, that this daughter of ours, who we were naming after a verse in the book of Micah that says, what is the most important thing to God but to act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly? So we were naming this little girl Micah, and that was going to be the life verse for her, and we were already praying that it would be true. And so we said, how can we as her parents ask her to be something that we're not? How can our kids learn to act with justice and to love mercy if we don't first model that for them? And so we started asking our friends to join us in these crazy things like you saw, running 240-mile relays from Dallas to Houston. You see, our friends had more time and more screws loose than they did money. And so they were game for whatever needed to happen to try to help the cause. So we played kickball for 49 hours, and we broke Guinness World Records, and we did all these crazy things. And then Dean and Rhonda asked to go to Ghana with me. And we went out on that lake, and we met more kids. And we started really thinking about the problem and the complexity of the problem. And it was terrifying to some extent, but it was also thrilling to consider what an impact we might have if we were willing to go after the root causes of some of these great challenges. And so September 1st, 2010, just 10 years ago, a few days ago, we started Mercy Project. And I remember sitting on my bed in our house in Dallas. I didn't have a desk. And I'm literally Googling human trafficking, child trafficking, how to raise money, how to run a nonprofit. Just trying to come up with a plan. And so we came up with a plan and we started to do it. And when I think about the story of Mercy Project, when I think about all of the good things that have happened and all of the successes we've had, and of course, we tend to share those successes with you because they are the stories that make people feel like the work is working. But I have to be honest, what I love maybe most about this work is that we committed from the very beginning to be transparent. We committed from the very beginning to talk openly about how hard this work was, not to hide it, not to say things are going great in Ghana, goodness gracious, if they were going any better, you wouldn't be able to wipe the smile off our faces, but to share our struggles and our failures with you. And let me assure you, we have had plenty of failures. And when I think about the story of Mercy Project, it's a story of failing and getting up again. Failing and getting up again, showing up and doing hard things. It was almost 800 days before that first day I started Mercy Project until the first day we walked out of a village with rescued kids. Almost 800 days that we had to turn to all of you and say, we promise we think this is going to work. If you can please keep giving us money, if you can please keep making sure we can fly over there, if you can please keep excusing how slow it feels like we're moving, we're trying to do it right. Almost 800 days of showing up, failing. Let me give you a couple examples of some of these failures. Our very first cages were these incredible contraptions made out of PVC. And my friend Josh Marion, who did an incredible amount of work, like a magician, to create something out of nothing. We didn't know how to source any of the materials we needed in Ghana except for the PVC pipe, which we found at an industrial place in the capital, about 12 hours from Lake Volta. So Josh is traveling from America, and he's taking carry-on bags with all of this netting and all of these zip ties and even rubber glue, because they didn't have any of those things in Ghana. So we're building these cages and we're so excited. We drop them in the lake. Everything's great. We come back. The cages are drug up onto the shore, broken, dilapidated, just sitting there. And we say, what happened? Why didn't you guys fix the cages? Where are all the fish? And the fishermen are like, we don't even know what this material is. We've never even seen material. What is this stuff? Failure by us. We didn't consider that they wouldn't know how to repair the cages and that the cages were going to get broken. And so we iterated and we iterated and we iterated. We're still doing things to make our cages better all these years later. And there were other failures too. We did an agriculture project, which we showed you in the video, cassava, a grinder. And we bring this grinder in the back of this Toyota truck that we rented, and we haul it into this village, Owujakopi, I think was the name of this village. And we haul it in, and we're so proud, and the village does a dance, and everything's good, and then we leave. And I come back on my next trip. I was coming about every 6 weeks at that time. And we go back into that village, and this machine is immaculate. It's got a piece of plastic over it, and we pull the plastic off, and I'm like, show me how it works. And they said, we've waited for you to come back, Osofu Nana Yao, because it's your machine. And we didn't want to break it. Fail. They didn't have ownership in the project. But every one of these failures moved us closer to the process that works now. All of those beginning years, all of those beginning mistakes, it was one step forward and 2 steps back to the beat of a Ghanaian drum like the one that you can see here on this screen. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. It was this countercultural dance that we were doing in Ghana, and it was sometimes fun, but usually, frankly, not all that fun. But we kept showing up day after day, trip after trip, meeting after meeting under the big mango tree. We sat there with the village chiefs and we had conversations and we said, we want to help your village be able to provide for your families. But we need these trafficked children to go home. And I will never forget that first village, Atavupe. When we're sitting there, and I don't know why, it must have been divine because I'd never even considered this question, but I asked the villagers standing there the day we were rescuing that first group of kids. I asked the villagers, I said, how many of you in this big circle were trafficked children yourselves? And something like 3/4 of the adults raised their hands. 2 years into our work, and we didn't even realize how vicious the cycle we were trying to break was. The fishermen who owned the children were once children owned by fishermen, were once children owned by fishermen. So we weren't just getting at the root cause. We weren't just trying to implement aquaculture. We were trying to break a generational cycle. And all of a sudden, that was both freeing news and crushing news. Because the problem was even that much more rooted in the Ghanaian culture, in those small fishing villages. It's the way life was. It's the way life had always been. They didn't know a time in a single one of their lives when children were not used to fish on the lake. And this doesn't even get into the story of the parents who trafficked their children. I can never remember who said it, and I always feel terrible about it, but there's a quote by a woman who was a refugee, not from Ghana, and she said once that a mother only puts her child in a boat when the water is safer than the land. And I always remember that when I think about those mothers in Ghana who can't feed their children, most of them single moms whose husbands have either left or passed away. They've got 5 mouths to feed and only enough food for 3, and so they send a few of them away, hoping against hope that maybe, just maybe, their life will be better if they can get some food and learn a trade. And they don't know that their child's going to enter into a hell of working 14-hour days. And it's not just the work. Ghanaians know how to work hard. Kids know how to work hard. My very first trip, I watched 5- and 6-year-old boys with machetes cutting the grass of a soccer field, a full-size regulation soccer field. It's not that Ghanaians are afraid of hard work. It's not that children don't work harder in Ghana than any of us would even be able to wrap our minds around. It's that when your future is only as big as your boat, you don't actually have a future. And that's the problem when a child is sold for $20 into a boat in Ghana, is that now that becomes their entire life. And that's one of the stories I would use under that mango tree. I would use the story under that mango tree where I would say, can a child in a fishing boat become president of Ghana? And they would laugh awkwardly, but then they would shake their heads, no. No child can become a president or a teacher or a doctor, a lawyer, a social worker, a pastor. They can become something. The only thing they can become when their life is a fishing boat is to become a fisherman. And that's no life at all. And when I think about all the stories of Mercy Project over the years, so many stories, some of them hilarious, some of them crushingly painful, some of them downright scary, like the time we were on a group trip in the middle of Lake Volta, and there was so much electricity in the air because of the lightning storm that people, not me because I have no hair, but people in the boat with us, their hair was literally standing up in the boat like someone had rubbed a balloon on their head. That's how much electricity was in the air. And that led us to a story we call the Fire Village, where we randomly at night crash into a village and we're just calling out, hello, can someone please help us? Because we don't want to die of lightning. And we go and they make a fire and they don't know how to talk to us and we don't know how to talk to them. So we're just kind of sitting there in the most awkward campfire ever. No s'mores, nothing. Just staring at one another. And then if that doesn't make it worse, when we get ready to leave, my sweet, precious sister-in-law, who's watching tonight, it was her only time to ever go to Ghana, she gets trapped in what she believes is quicksand. She is sure she is going to die. It's just sand that moves a little bit when you walk on it, but it got up to her ankles and then up to her calves and then up to her knees, and she was sure. And by her reaction, so was every Ghanaian within a 10 or 15-mile radius, because if you've never met my sister-in-law, she was trained in operatic singing, and she has some pipes. So when she put out the call that she was drowning, sinking, right now, I'm going to die, everyone came to help her. And so these Ghanaian men are lifting her up out of the sinking sand. And that was all one story in Fire Village, the night of lightning. That story's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. So many stories. But I want to tell you one tonight. I want to zoom in on one story. And I want you to meet a little girl named Debordi. Zach, if we can show them this slide in full person on their screens, I want you to look at that little girl on the left. Now, they shaved the girls' heads because they don't want to have to deal with their hair. This is Debordi and her two brothers. But before that picture leaves the screen, I want you to look at that little piece of brown paper. And there's a phone number written on it. I want you to see that piece of paper, and I want you to hear this story about Debordi. You see, Debordi's mom was a widow. Debordi's mom was poor, like most of our moms in Ghana. And Debordi was sent to go work. See, that's not what her mom understood. Her mom was told by a trusted family friend who was told by someone else that there was a man who helped children go to school, and they just had to do some chores after school to earn their school fees. Well, there was no school, and there were plenty of chores. And so Debordi, from the age of 8 years old, she's working every day in a fishing village, domestic servant. She's a slave. For 4 years, she's doing this work. And then Mercy Project comes to her village. We're meeting with all the masters, and our Ghanaians are doing our process, and we discover and determine that Debordi is a trafficked child. And so we do what we always do in this scenario. We've done it 181 times. We ask her master if he can tell us about where her mother might be, at least a village or a town, and maybe even have a phone number for her so that we can reach out to her and talk to her about the fact that we found her daughter, and would she be interested in her daughter returning home? As an aside, by the way, we've never had a parent tell us they didn't want their child to come home. In America, we love orphanages, and orphanages are great as long as children are orphans. A lot of kids aren't orphans, and what they need is their family. And the fisherman who owned Debordi, he said, I don't actually know anything about her mother. I have no way to contact her. And this has happened a few times with us, and it's always very difficult. Well, Debordi walks away. She comes back just a couple minutes later with this piece of paper. It's crumpled up. She hands it to our investigator, Isaac, and she says, this is my mommy's number. I wrote it down before I left my house years ago, and I've been holding it in the hope that I could call my mom again one day. But I never had a phone. When I think about the story of Debordi, who's home now with her family going to school, I feel like that little piece of paper is the story of Mercy Project 10 years ago. Now we can see these pictures of children with their families. And we see pictures of kids smiling with their moms and their dads, with their grandparents, sometimes with their aunties or uncles. And we have these great powerful moments. And I want to remember, though, that the story of Mercy Project is really like that crumpled up piece of paper in Debordi's bag. Debordi had no real reason to think she might ever need that number. We had no real reason to think that this crazy idea of ours would ever work. In fact, all the odds were against DeBordy by that point. 4 years working as a domestic servant, a master who didn't even know where her mom was or how to get in contact with her. And yet, here she was with a guy sitting in her village saying, I'm looking for this girl's mother. Do you know how I can find her? And DeBordy says, yes. I've saved this number for such a time as this. And I feel like that's what we did with Mercy Project. We took this tiny little seed of a crazy idea, to use Doug's word, impossible. And we wrote it down on this little piece of paper just in case we might need it. And people like all of you, for 10 years now, have said, yes. Yes, we know how to find your mother. And maybe it wasn't our mother you helped us find, but it was our way. And some of you helped us find that with financial gifts. Some of you helped us find that with a timely phone call or a visit to my family on one of those 40-plus trips. Some of you helped us find it by attending our events, by volunteering, by praying, by making a small monthly donation like the woman who's watching tonight, who makes a $10 gift every month out of her Social Security. Each one of you saying yes to this crazy little idea written on a crumpled up piece of paper and hoped against hope that it might work. And so now, as we said in the video, we stand with a foot in two places, celebrating and so overwhelmingly thankful for the last 10 years and knowing yet that our work is not done. 181 children, no longer slaves. 181 children who will become future leaders in Ghana, who will become doctors and lawyers and social workers and pastors, and one of whom might even become president, all outside of their fishing boats with a chance at real life again. But there are more kids yet to come, and so our work is not finished. And so I think about that walk that we always do with those children on that day of rescue. When the whole village comes behind us and they're dancing and playing the drums and they're doing this dance that's the famous village dance, and they're cheering and celebrating that these kids are getting to go and have a future. And I'm reminded that that is really what tonight is. Tonight is not the end of the journey. It's one more of these walks to get into a boat to go somewhere we've never been before. And so I want to invite each one of you tonight to become a part of this journey with us in ways you've not done before, or to continue being a part of this journey. The next 10 years have the chance to be even more magical than the last 10. Our process is so ready now to scale. You saw on that map how many more children we can impact. The only thing slowing us down at this point is financial resources. When a donor calls me and says, what do we need? It's financial resources. Our whole system is set up. Our team in Ghana is incredible, amazing, the best. And right now, they're waiting to do another rescue. Just 2 weeks ago, we rescued another 11 kids. And our staff now in Ghana is waiting for me to call them and say, we have $35,000 more to rescue another village. And they are ready to hit the ground and to go find that village. And I'm not going to lie, I've always tried to be transparent. COVID has been hard on a lot of us. And Mercy Project was not exempt from that. It was in this very building that we held casino night last year, where we raised $150,000. We didn't have casino night this year. So we raised $0 this July. And so we're feeling the pressure of COVID just like each one of you. And so I want to invite you tonight, as you consider the next 10 years of Mercy Project, to consider if you'll make a contribution to the work that I've told you about tonight. It's pretty simple to do. We've got a phone number that you can text in, and you could just tell us by text what you'll pledge. We'll keep you anonymous. If you'll tell us tonight what you'll text in, whatever your pledge is. It can be between now and the end of the year. You can give it any time. So if you'd rather give it at the end of the year, that's fine. But I would love if you would consider tonight, I want to challenge you, if you would consider tonight participating with Mercy Project, that you would join us. And there's one way to join, and that's just by making a pledge of any amount. And you heard Doug and Cheryl are going to match anything given up to $10,000. But there's another easy way that Cheryl actually mentioned. I want you to see some of the kids in our program right now, real kids that don't have child sponsors. We have a couple dozen kids right now, and we're paying for them to go to school, of course, but this is just coming out of our general operating budget. And we have kids like Mary and Abraham, Francis, and Rachel, and they need child sponsors for $45 a month. So if you want to sponsor one of these kids, you can text into that number and you can just say child sponsor, sponsor a child. And we will reach out to you on Monday and we'll connect you with a real child. You'll be able to write letters to that child and we'll be able to communicate. That child will be able to write letters to you. About once a year, we'll get a little video from a lot of those children so your children can actually hear their voice. It's a great thing for you to do as a family. It's a great gift. But tonight, I want to invite you to consider a gift to Mercy Project, to consider participating with us financially as we move into the next 10 years, as we move into the next phase of Mercy Project, which is really scaling. One of the coolest things we did in February on our last big group trip, right before COVID hit, just weeks before, we did our first entrepreneurship boot camp, where we actually took some rural Ghanaians and we taught them how to run a business. And now some of our board members are actually funding some of these Ghanaian business people so that they will know how to run a business. And you might wonder, how does that fit the mission of Mercy Project? It fits the mission because it's going to create jobs. And it fits the mission because when parents can work, they don't traffic their kids. And when fishermen have ways of making money through the cages, they don't keep trafficked kids. And so I'll be sharing more about that in the coming years. But for now, I want to just give you an update. We've already had $8,000 come in. So that's $16,000 with the Petersons match. So we're just $2,000 away from that. And Gretchen's also going to be adding up the raffle and some of those other things. But I would love if you would consider a gift tonight to Mercy Project. I would especially love if you would consider sponsoring one of these children. Like I said, we have a couple dozen kids in our program right now that need a child sponsor. And I know we talk a lot about our kids not understanding how good their lives are. Our kids not always understanding how much they have. What an easy way for us to model for our children, for those of us who are parents. For those who aren't parents, what a gift to give to somebody else. For the person who has everything, for them to know that you sponsored a real child on their behalf. So now we're at the $10,000 already. So we've gotten the full match from the Petersons. That's $20,000. Gretchen's adding up the raffle so I can give you guys a total amount. We're going to get that to you. But I just want everybody to know this work and everything we've done the last 10 years, it's not possible without you. We have an amazing staff, and I want to give a shout out to Gretchen and to Clint and to our entire Ghanaian staff. Some of our Ghanaian staff, by the way, is watching right now. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30 in the morning in Ghana. And they're tuned in with bad internet, watching. We got sirens going because we're blowing the roof off this place with all these donations. I'm just kidding, but we do have sirens outside if you can hear those. But our staff in Ghana is watching with us tonight. To our staff in Ghana, thank you. You are the lifeblood of this program. If you're in the chat, our Ghanaians can see that chat. Drop a thanks to them in that chat to let them know how much you appreciate the work they're doing day in and day out. But I want you to know that our staff is incredible. Our staff is amazing. They are the lifeblood of every single thing we do. And I want to give a special note to some of our staff that's not even with us anymore, but that they actually, the few couples over the last 10 years who have gone to live in Ghana, Josh and Marinda Marion, Tim and Ruth Weber, Chad and Kara Dennis, who I know are watching tonight, Kofi and Allison Nyarko, who I know are watching tonight, and Clint and Haley Askins. These incredible American Mercy Project employees went and lived in that house less than a mile from Lake Volta in the bush of Africa to move this work along. And where we are and who we are and what we've done is not possible without them. My going back and forth could never have done what they did, living on the ground in Ghana. So I want to give them a special shout out. So we're going to take pledges now for about 1 or 2 more minutes. I think we're coming up close to the 9 o'clock deadline that we had set. We want to honor that, not just because I want to go to bed soon, but also because we know all of you want to go to bed soon as well. But so far, we have $26,000 that's come in just from this part of the evening. That does include the Petersons match. But that's an incredible, that's almost enough for a village, even before we factor in the money from the raffle and some of our sponsorships. So I just want to thank you. If you've already made a pledge tonight, if you've already said yes to this work with us, if you've already said yes to the next 10 years, I want you to know, in fact, that I was wrong. That $28,000 does not include the Petersons, so it's actually $38,000. And Gretchen just shared with me that with the raffle and with the sponsorship from Crowley Custom Homes, that we're actually at $72,000. And I got to be brutally honest with you, I didn't think we had a chance at that tonight. I'm confessing to you that the nature of this virtual event, that felt impossible to me. And so I stand humbled, grateful, honored to say thank you. That is unbelievable to me. I don't know who you are, you people giving money. But I thank you. I'll know who you are when I ask you to actually make good on those pledges, of course. But from where I'm standing up here, I don't know who those pledges are coming from. So thank you to each one of you. Thank you to the Petersons for stepping up with that surprise $10,000 gift. Thank you for those of you who said yes to child sponsorship. To our Ghanaian staff who's watching with us tonight, get ready, go to bed, because it's almost time to go rescue a new village of kids. We set the goal before COVID that we might rescue 200 kids before we hit our 10th year, and then COVID happened, and we thought we had no chance. Well, because of you tonight, by the end of 2020, a year that we know has not gone like any of us hoped it would go, we have a real chance to hit that 200 children in our first 10 years number. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for believing in us. Thank you for walking with us. Thank you for praying with us. Thank you for being part of this journey with us. This journey is not possible without you. I'm not just saying that. I'm not just making that up. Truly, none of this would be possible if it were not for you. $74,000 in already tonight because of you. 181 children home tonight, sleeping in a house, in a room filled with their siblings and their mothers because of you. $79,000 raised tonight because of you. More children free because of you. And just as that video said, let us continue pressing on. Let us continue moving forward. Let us continue doing this good work. Let us take that little scrap of brown paper with a phone number written on it, that little seed of a dream that feels bigger than any of us, that feels impossible, a dream that frankly is impossible. And let's say yes. Let's say yes to justice. Let's say yes to mercy. Let's say yes to more children and more villages. Let's say yes until every boat is empty and all of us are free. Because, by the way, something about this kind of work and donating, it frees something in us as well. When we live for something bigger than ourselves, and when we impact a generation of children whose names we'll never know, and their children will be impacted long after we're no longer on this earth. People in Ghana will have different lives and different stories, and they'll know they were loved and seen and valued because of each one of you. So I'm going to make a very awkward transition now, staring right into that camera, but keeping my serious tone of voice right into our raffle. And I am going to get this little bucket here because it's behind me, and I'm going to draw a name for our raffle winner. So I want you to know that we raised $80,000 tonight, and someone who bought a raffle ticket is going to win a dream vacation, 7 nights under the stars. What are the stars? The Northern Lights? Is that? Whoa. The Northern Lights. 7 nights in a Swiss village in the Alps. Or if you got little kids and you can't imagine getting away, a week at Disney World with your children, which is a dream vacation for so many families. Someone is going to win that tonight. So I am going to go through all of these things, not looking. And I'm going to draw one name with my sweaty hand because we had to turn the air conditioner off in here so that you could all hear me. So my hands are actually literally sweating. So this one just stuck to my hands. And I'm going to read you the name of tonight's raffle winner for the Dream Vacation, Dale Christian. Dale Christian, you and your family have just won the Dream Vacation. Jennifer is Dale's wife's name, and they have 3 children. One of them, I bet, would really like Disney World because she's pretty little, quite a bit younger than their other 2. And Dale, I hope you're watching tonight because you just won a dream vacation. I want to wrap up tonight. $81,000, by the way, raised. I want to wrap up tonight with one more thank you. It honestly feels sad that we only have 90 minutes because I could go on and on and on. Trust me, ask Stacy, I could go on and on and on thanking you for the gift that you've been to Mercy Project. Thank you once again. From the bottom of our collective hearts, from our staff in Ghana, from our staff here in the U.S., from every child across Ghana, 181 strong. Thank you for believing in this work, for all 17 villages who now have a better way to fish, who now make more than $2 a day, who now can send their own children to school. We have one village, by the way, that used the money they made from their fishing cages to build a school in their fishing village so that their own children might be able to go to school. That wasn't even the purpose of us starting Mercy Project. And now their own children are getting an education that their parents never got, that they never thought possible. This is the work of sustainability. This is the work of getting at the root causes. This is the work of grace and justice and mercy and action. This is the work of people like you saying yes. So on behalf of Mercy Project, on behalf of all of our children, all of our staff, all of our families, all of our villages, thank you, thank you, thank you. Here is to the next 10 years until every boat is empty and all of us are free. God bless.